Hello, welcome to my channel, Literature Science Lines. I'm Angela, and today we're going to start, hopefully, a first video in many of the science behind the magic. This is where I'm going to take small to large science things that I feel like inspired something fantastical that I've been reading. And with that said, if you have anything that you've been curious about in science, comment them down below, and I will maybe do some research and make a video about that, because I love teaching a lot. So my background is in physics and biophysics because I've always claimed that physics is the closest thing to magic, and since I did not get to go to Hogwarts, that's what I chose to do instead. So yeah, I'm going to be using a few graphics today that were made by my close friend Alyssa. I will link her Instagram down below. It was really sweet of her to let me use these because otherwise you guys would be staring at circles and they're just not as pretty. So yeah, give her a look. She is amazing with digital art. It amazes me what she can do in 10 minutes that I couldn't spend hours to accomplish. So today I want to talk about blood type incompatibility. Now, this I was inspired by the Inheritance trilogy. I know, shocking. But I love the trilogy, and it has this really interesting thing in it. So in this world, you have gods and mortals. Now, gods and mortals can exchange blood. It tends to give mortals kind of a magic high, and gods are just kind of like, meh. Unless, like, part of their essence is about sacrifice. But if a god and a mortal have a child, that child's blood is fatal to the god. Now, when I read this, it got me thinking, so my mother is O negative and my father's O positive. That meant if you did a Punnett square, that there was an equal chance that I would be O negative or O positive. So if I was O positive and during childbirth, that could be a huge problem for my mom if our blood mixed. So she had to have a really annoying shot because of that. And I have remembered this story. So it made me think, what makes blood types incompatible? What is the actual science there, besides me just knowing it? So that's what I wanted to dig into today, is what makes blood have different types, and then what makes them incompatible. So let's just get into it. So the first thing I want us all on the same page on is blood. So we're focusing on red blood cells. Pretty red blood cells right over here, ideally. And their primary job is to carry oxygen throughout your body. So they pick up oxygen around the lungs and they will deliver it throughout your body. Your cells need oxygen for several chemical reactions. So that's their job. So what makes them different? Well, we have 4 types. We've got A, B, AB, and O. Now, what makes them different is something called antigens. So that's something we need to discuss real quick. What is an antigen? Now, if you have allergies, you might already know what these are. These are things in our environment that cause immune responses. Immune responses are signs of inflammation. So this is a fever, a rash, itchy eyes, sneezing. All of these are signs of inflammation, so an immune response. Now, what causes that inflammation? Well, in a very simple, and I mean very simple, because immunology is a can of worms that even I'm not brave enough to delve into. But if you have a certain antibody in your system, so that's another word we're going to talk about, antibodies. If you have an antibody in your system that recognizes the antigen, it signals to your body, hey, there's something here that should not be here. We need to get rid of it. So an antigen enters your system. If you have an antibody that recognizes it, then you get an immune response. So what does this all have to do with blood? Well, there are 2 antigens we're going to be talking about, the A antigen and the B antigen. So if you have AB blood, your blood cells have on the surface of it A and B antigens. If you have B blood, you just have the B. And if you have A, you just have the A, and O has nothing. O has 0 antigens. Now, it's not just that you have these different antigens on your blood that matters for this equation. It also matters the antibodies you have. So if you have AB blood, you don't have any antibodies for those antigens. Now, if you have A blood, you will have B antibodies. And if you have B blood, you will have A antibodies. And if you have O blood, you will have both A and B antibodies. So what does that mean in a nutshell? Well, if you're at the hospital and you have O blood and you need a blood transfusion, you do not get AB or AB blood, because otherwise, if that goes into your body, your immune system, those antibodies we've just been talking about, will see that blood and be like, this does not belong. This needs to exit. And it will produce an immune response, which is usually a fever and things like that, while you're probably already compromised because you're getting a blood transfusion. So that's why these things matter. And it's a little more complicated than that because, like I mentioned at the beginning with my mother, there's this Rh factor. And it works similarly to these three types of, not three, but these four blood types. You're either positive or negative for the Rh factor. And that's important. If you are negative for the Rh factor, that means you cannot be given any blood that's positive for it. You can give to people with the positive blood type because negative means nothing. You're not adding anything for the immune system to respond to. But if someone else's blood has that Rh factor, if it is positive and enters your body's not going to enjoy that. So I hope that was a good discussion about blood type, but I hope this was digestible. I hope it made sense. I hope it was mildly interesting and sparked your curiosity, because this is definitely very surface level. And just tell me what did and didn't work for you. This is a first in a series, and I know it won't be perfect, but I have to start somewhere, and I love to teach. So I want to become better at it, and I want to produce scientific content that intrigues you guys. So just comment down below any questions, any suggestions. I am all ears, all ready for critique. And thanks again, Alyssa, for these cute little graphics, because really, otherwise, you guys would have had circles from PowerPoint, and her circles are much prettier. All right, so with that, I hope you enjoyed this first actual Literature Science Alliance, and have a great day.